Today we are going to talk about the Nillynn people. Oh, well, we one subcategory, but we will be including other subcategories because that makes sense. So this will be split up into three parts: the ancient, medieval, and classical, and finally, modern. The modern will probably be the most interesting because I'm more of a modern person. Okay, let's go. So we start with the Nillynn subculture, which was really just secluded to the Nile. There was only one exception where it was not secluded to the Nile. We'll see that later. And yeah, here is the Nile on this. Here's the Nile on this side. So yeah, here's the Nillynn culture on orange. And this culture was the main culture we're going to talk about today. Now we get to the second most important culture, the desert people, which is going to be the secondary focus of this video. They will not be mentioned a lot after this point. They only influenced the ancient era, which was this point, which is this video. So yeah. Also, I won't even include the coastal people, because you probably already know where they live, and they're practically irrelevant. They're only in the same cultural family because they're very similar. It's practically all they're important for in this video. Just being it's very similar. So I'm not going to include them. So I'm just going to get rid of them from the Nillynn culture. Sorry. But after this, I'm done with this. So yeah, just gonna. So there we go. We have the Nillynn peoples. Well, not all of them, but the ones that will be important. Now let's get with the states. There was a few countries that I would like to mention, or really tribes, and the Desert people. Oklahoma. That was it. Now let's get to these people. Which, let's start with the big elephant in the room, Nakama. The only country at this point which wasn't a city-state. The definition of a city-state is which is a nation that only has one city. It was the only one that wasn't a city-state. Secondary, we have them, or the Yol. And then finally, we have the final one, which is Makama, which was a city-state. All these besides these was a city-state, and tribes are tribes. There was no real definite amount of land here. That's why it was so big. All lands that I would go to at some point. So now we start. At first, these people conquered another two northern cities. There was a symbol called the Achen Divide, which was a small treaty between these two that would divide up the Nile. Now the Nile, at this point, was now being mostly gobbled up by other nations. Well, in the meantime, these guys started to migrate north and started to leave the home of the south. So yeah, that one now approaching the middle. Oh yeah, and also something funny happened. These people ended up conquering a bit of the old desert lands, but that's only because they thought it was Nillynn. No, it's not. And also these people crossed the river around, and now we'll be keeping track of the years because at this point, it's the point that we finally know what stuff is actually happening. So around 3000 BC, they move over here. So yeah, interesting. Now around this year, just know this is BC. These people started grabbing up more denial because they were scared that they were going to do it first. And finally, around 100 years after that, the final two nations gobbled up with the rest of the Nile. So now, we officially get to the point of what I would like to call the end of this unification. Because after this point, all disunited areas will now be a part of some empire. So they were no longer disunited. My 8 suck. So now we have this as a land. And there's still the desert people migrating everywhere. After this point became what was known as the Great Migration. Because the desert started massively receding, which caused a massive migration of Nillynn people, which you can imagine caused something like this, where it only really happened on this side, as there was a massive flood of the Nile. That it didn't last long, but it was enough to push the desert people back a lot for a very long time. So I'll push them around to here, which at this point, this caused the desert people to start doing the Great Migration, where they shoved out all the flooding people, but instead of stopping there, they just kept going. And would slowly accidentally trample their territory, discovered in Nile, where they officially left the desert lifestyle. The Nillynn and the Nile started to recede, which caused the desert to sweep back in. But now there was a desert culture civilization there. And they would form Sputin. So yeah, now we got all of them. Oh yeah, and also they would come over here and conquer this. But then again, that wouldn't be important for a while. And yeah. So yeah, now it is the year. It's been around 10 years, and yeah, not much has changed. Not much would change for a very long time until the Nubian Wars, which was a massive war that caused a lot of destruction. So now, yeah. And also we had to color them different colors because they're so similar that So yeah, it was basically a war with the desert people because they discovered that recently, a bit ago, they had conquered region that they originally thought was theirs. So yeah, then came the Conquest War, which you can imagine who started to annihilate the other. Over here, there was the slow moving up motion which conquered this region. But the Red's fierce warriors were more over here and actually started to conquer most of the region that could have been considered desert until they reached the main cities. So yeah. At this point, the borders were more like this, with them mostly being pushed onto the other side, as they officially knocked down this. They officially surrendered and alleviated this. Thinking about this, I might, just so you know, I might have to make this the ancient era to Portal because this video is also getting very long. So yeah, the Ipsares Treaty led to them practically getting completely annexed besides a small sliver in the south. So now, new colors, yeah. yeah, so this is what the new borders look like. So now we have a very overpowered desert people in the Nile region, of all places. So yeah. So yeah, that's a threat to everybody. Unconsidered the fact that probably this whole entire mess probably be inverted if they just if the Nile didn't flood. So yeah, this is part 1 over. I'll probably call this the Formula of Civilizations or something. And this, I think, this video was around this period to that BC to this BC, because remember, this took a very long time. So this is probably the time period it took. So I'm ending the video here, so I'm going goodbye. Goodbye.